So like I said before, it's been a great year for movies, and I'm really gonna have a fun time doing this video because all the movies that I mentioned here, I love. And a lot of good movies didn't even crack into my top 10. That's ones that just missed my top 10 are Gone Girl, yep, Gone Girl. That's how good of a year it is when Gone Girl didn't even make it into my top 10. You got Gone Girl, The Drop, Edge of Tomorrow, X-Men, and Snowpiercer just reaching out of my top 10 of 2014. Now, let's move on to my favorite movies of 2014. Starting at number 10, Still Alice. Now, I didn't get a chance to review it because due to life stuff. Alice is a great movie starring Julianne Moore as a professor suffering from Alzheimer's. Still Alice is a movie I feel anybody can relate to because either you have a family member with Alzheimer's or you have a friend who has Alzheimer's. This movie affects all. And Julianne Moore is fantastic in this movie. Honestly, she is the best performance I've seen from a female this year. She should definitely get the Oscar, let alone Oscar nomination, but the Oscar win because she was utterly fantastic. And also as well, not only was Julianne Moore great in the role, surprisingly, Kristen Stewart, who gave her best performance to date, which is not saying much since she came from Twilight, but I've never seen Kristen Stewart act it better. She's one of my favorite female performances in a supporting role. She really surprised me of how good she actually was. Since I didn't review this on YouTube, I gave that movie 4.5 out of 5 stars because that's a movie that touches all. Now moving on to number 9. Number 9 is Interstellar. Christopher Nolan, I'm a huge fan of. Inception is my favorite movie from him. Christopher Nolan is a director that rarely disappoints, and Interstellar is that movie. I mean, this is a movie that after you finish watching it, it definitely makes you think of life in general. I mean, wow. The effects in this movie was purely amazing. Traveling to different worlds, and the story, even though it could be a little confusing, but it wasn't that type of confusion where you don't fully understand it. Because honestly, you really do understand this movie, and I think that's great storytelling from him. But Interstellar is a movie that, when you watch it at home, doesn't feel right watching it at home. You just have to experience in the true fashion that it was made for, which is a big, gigantic screen. And definitely, Christopher Nolan takes us on a journey, and the journey was well worth the ride. I love that movie. Coming in at number 8, which is another movie I haven't reviewed on YouTube, is Birdman. Now, Birdman is nothing I've ever seen before. This movie, it feels like it's filmed in one shot. And looking at the special features, hearing interviews with Michael Keaton and the director and Edward Norton, it took a lot of practice or rehearsal to get this movie just right. I mean, to certain movements, to certain places the actors have to stand. This movie was fantastic. Every cast member across the board was phenomenal. I'm talking about from Edward Norton to Michael Keaton to Emma Stone to Zach Galifianakis and a boatload of others. Because honestly, this is a movie that's a true ensemble, and they all came to play. Especially Edward Norton, who also should get nominated for Best Supporting Actor because he's essentially playing himself, but he plays himself real good. And if it wasn't for another guy that I mentioned up later, he should definitely win Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars, but there's another guy that I think is going to take that cake. Now, Birdman is phenomenal. It's one of those movies that is true filmmaking at its best, and trust me, if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor, do see it because you will not be disappointed. And I also gave Birdman 4.5 out of 5 stars. Now, moving on to number 7. Number 7 is The Imitation Game. Now, like I said before in my review of it, I wasn't the biggest fan of Benedict Cumberbatch. I thought he was good in Star Trek Into Darkness, but this movie shows that, okay, his hype train, I'm actually on because he gave one of the best performances I've seen this year. This movie is so heartfelt and so sad that it's unbelievable that this was an actual true story. What made this movie great is the fact that the screenplay was excellent. The way it transitioned from the present, past, and future is fantastic. I love this movie, the way it delved into Alan Turing's life and showed how difficult his life was and also how unappreciated he was after the fact he helped win the war. Coming in at number 6, Nightcrawler. Wow. Nightcrawler is fantastic. This movie is a great social commentary on the media itself and what people will try to do to get a story and get hits on YouTube and get ratings on TV. I love this story, this movie. I love this movie so much. And what makes this movie great is the fact that Jake Gyllenhaal was fantastic. I mean, I have never seen Jake Gyllenhaal even better. And honestly, this is the performance I think he should win for Best Actor because he was creepy as hell. And it's not just because of the weight loss he did. It's that, yeah, that did help, but his acting overall, I mean, those monologues he would do with other people, to himself, is just crazy. This movie has so many layers to it than the regular storyline. And that's what I love about movies, when movies have layers to it. Nightcrawler is definitely one of the best movies I've seen this year. Coming in at number 5, Stardust. Now, I've talked about this movie a lot, and honestly, it should be made. It should be made mention. If you haven't seen it, definitely get a watch on VOD or something like that because Stardust is amazing. And this is a movie that I first caught my eye to Jack O'Connell, who also played in Unbroken. Jack O'Connell is a star on the rise. This movie is fantastic because it deals with father and son relationships, and also the fathers are not in their child's lives or sons' lives and how they react to it. And Jack O'Connell, Ben Mendelsohn, and Rupert Friend is amazing in it. The storytelling is fantastic. And I gotta say, if you hadn't checked this movie out, definitely do, because if you want another star on the rise, Jack O'Connell is that guy. In my opinion, you didn't get enough of that in Unbroken, but if you want more of an acting performance in this movie, Jack O'Connell is this in Stardust because he makes this movie go, along with the direction from David Mackenzie. So definitely check out Stardust. It hasn't come out on Blu-ray. I've been looking for it for the longest, but once it does, I'm definitely picking it up, and I definitely recommend you guys checking it out if you haven't seen it already. Coming in at number 4, of course, The Raid 2. The Raid 2, what can I say about this movie? This movie is an action movie fan's wet dream. I mean, I never thought that you can top The Raid with the choreography in that movie, but The Raid 2 tops that. Certain scenes in this movie is just like, wow. Wow. I mean, and you know me, I'm an action junkie to the fullest, and I'm even jumping out my seat when it comes to some of this action scenes in this movie. And I mean, I watched this movie at least 3 or 4 times, and I still am amazed at some of the fight choreography in this movie. Honestly, this is one of the best action movies ever made, hands down, bar none. I mean, this is my favorite action movie, but right behind Die Hard, and everybody knows how much I love Die Hard. The Raid 2 is fantastic. And I gotta say, if you need any more reason to see this movie, I give you 2. Bat Boy and Hammer Girl. Watch this movie, and once you watch the movie, you'll definitely know what the heck I am talking about. Because once you see those 2 characters going against our main good guy, you'll fall in love with this movie as well. Coming in at number 3, Boyhood. Boyhood is nothing short of a masterpiece. Richard Linklater is a pioneer when it comes to filmmaking, because to think of something that's made over 12 years, it's truly amazing. And a lot of people say, well, it doesn't have a story, and the fact that if you take out the 12-year process, it's not a good movie. I gotta disagree fully, because look, yes, it may not have a story, and this movie's going for realism. And when you go for realism and a true coming-of-age story, how can you script out something like that? Your life isn't made up, because when you think about it, when you're born, you don't know how your life is going to end up. So same thing with this movie. When Mason's growing up, it's not no clear-cut story at hand. It just watch this kid grow up and going through life challenges as a kid, teenager, and going up to an adult. So technically, his life is not fully rounded out yet. I mean, in our eyes, when we was growing up as kids, did we know how life would turn out? No. So it's the same thing with Boyhood, and I think Richard Linklater did an excellent job in portraying that. that life doesn't truly have a story, we just go by the seat of our pants. And Richard Linklater did a masterful job in portraying that in this film. Boyhood is nothing short of a masterpiece, and I love every minute of it. I mean, it's a 2.5-hour movie, but it doesn't even feel like that. The way this movie transitioned from year to year, it just felt so natural. And Boyhood is just a truly amazing, amazing movie. Now, coming in at number 2, which this is another movie I didn't review, which is Whiplash. Oh my God. I mean, this is a movie that is truly intense, fierce, and there's an adrenaline rush, and it's all dealing with drumming. This movie stars Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons, and both performances are great, but J.K. Simmons steals the show. And honestly, J.K. Simmons gave the best overall performance for me this year. Every time he was on screen, I didn't want him to leave because he was truly magnetic. He was my God, this movie, he was just so truly great in this movie. This movie also questions what do you have to do to be the best, or what do you have to give up to be the best, and it leaves those questions in your mind. And does it fully answer it? Maybe, but I think that's the choice for the audience to decide. And Damien Chazelle did a fantastic job with this movie. Every minute of this movie, I was enthralled. I loved it. J.K. Simmons, Miles Teller, great. I mean, wow. Just wow. I mean, I can say more about this, but it's been said before through other reviewers and other people who've seen the movie. Whiplash is just a movie that, if you're into music or just a fan of film, you must watch. And I gotta say, if Damien Chazelle doesn't at least get nominated for Best Director, I don't know what it is. And I gotta say, J.K. Simmons, like I said before, Edward Norton was good, but J.K. Simmons was great. And I love Edward Norton in Birdman, and he's one of my favorite actors working today. But J.K. Simmons just said, nope, the Oscar is going to me. And you know what? He deserves it. And I'm going to give it to him because he's my favorite overall performance this year, and there's no doubt about that. He was truly fantastic. So, what beat out Whiplash, Boyhood, and The Raid 2? It's a movie I've seen recently, and it's Selma. Oh my God, Selma. Selma is truly epic and emotionally gripping. David Oyelowo truly transforms himself into Martin Luther King, and the way Ava DuVernay directed this movie is fantastic. And she's a black female director, which is great because it shows that women directors can make it in this business. She didn't shy away from certain aspects of Martin Luther King's life. She brought it out to the open. She wasn't shy about that. She showed that he was not a perfect man. She showed that he did have his imperfections. And I like the fact that when filmmakers take chances like that, because sometimes when you do a biopic or when you're doing a film on a person's life, some people say, oh, let's gloss over the nice stuff. But no. Ava DuVernay didn't do that. And she had some guts to do that, which was great because Martin Luther King was a beloved person, and yet she didn't shy away from all his imperfections. And not only did she do that, but also some of the scenes that she did were truly heart-wrenching and gut-wrenching at the same time. And she gave this movie emotion and gave it her heart and soul, and it shows on film. And she's also my favorite director this year. And I definitely think she should at least get nominated. And she got nominated at the Golden Globes, but definitely she should get recognition at the Academy Awards. If you haven't seen Selma, it comes nationwide January 9th, so I highly recommend you guys checking it out because this is a movie that I feel all fans of film, black, white, no matter what color you are, will definitely enjoy because this is a movie that affects all. So those were my top 10 movies of 2014. And I'll put links to the reviews I haven't did on YouTube on the poster itself, so you can definitely get a detailed viewing of what my thoughts were on those particular movies like Still Alice and Birdman and Whiplash. And I said in my last year's review that indie movies dominated, but this movie this year takes the cake of indie movies and just shows that the big blockbuster movies don't always make it out at the top. Yes, at the box office, but when it truly counts at the most and when it comes to award season, it's the true indies that make the cut. Guys, let me know what were your top 10 movies of 2014. So as always guys, please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.